Yay.
Palo Santo. Let me just edit the sound a little bit, see if that helps, because I can still hear myself.
Oh, wow. What are all these? Oh, I posted a bunch of things. Anyway, there's updated links coming to you all soon. All these technology things, I just logged onto Zoom. I haven't logged in like a week, and it's like a spaceship operating system right now. I'm like, there's too many features and too many things for me I need to like keep up on the
They
on
say
the
they're
up.
going to upgrade things, but they just make it more confusing.
Yeah.
A lot of it is nonsense. Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Nice to see you guys.
It's good evening for me here. It's 9 o'clock at night here.
Where are you?
I am finishing up my last days here in Kopangan in Thailand.
Oh, lovely. How has it been?
Yeah, wow. I've been through quite a transformation the last few weeks because up until about a month ago, I thought I was going to be trying to stay here long term. And I made a big long video about this because I went through a whole lot of initiations, a whole lot of challenges. And eventually, all the signs pointed to close the chapter, say goodbye. Something else is coming. So it's been really sweet. I don't know if in my life I've ever had like an ending to a chapter that wasn't like crisis or catastrophe, or it's just
Why
like what
you don't
I
know if the
guess.
chapter is over?
I'm like, wait, there's no explosiveness. So yeah, it feels good to be having a corrective experience with change. And it's really teaching me a lot. About how to navigate change. And I think it's an important lesson for me to really embody right now as we move through these next things that are happening on the planet as we move forward. So
We're getting
yeah,
good
it's
black
good.
things happening on the planet right now, aren't we? It's getting a bit intense down here.
It's getting wild out there on those streets.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is part of the reason why I just launched, relaunched. I used to have a Facebook group that I maintained for many years, 7 years. Took a year off of that, and I just relaunched it the other day. All of you that are listening are getting the announcement right now because I haven't. I was gonna make the big message tomorrow after the new moon. Um, yeah, I wanted to make a space where people could connect in a healthy and good way around these topics of spirituality, ascension, all those kinds of things. So I've been working really hard to create some really helpful um, ways for people to connect in the group and new media that's going to be really inspiring and really soothing on the nervous system because so much is likely to be happening and people are feeling so much. So we'll be focusing a lot on getting that regulated nervous system and connecting and helping each other have a regulated nervous system.
Oh, that is, worth its weight in gold right now, isn't it? Regulated nervous system. Who's got one of those? In all
Working
of
on it.
chaos, you know? So there's a couple of people who have not seen one of our podcasts together before. They're
Oh,
wondering what we
yay.
do, Michael. That's a
What
great
shall we
question.
do?
What does
Well,
Michael do? Michael does all sorts of things.
I pulled a card to prepare. I did a lot of preparations for today, and the card that I pulled was "What is already with you." So it seems as though we have something within us that wants to come out, and I fully trust in how our conversations flow that we'll come up with something
We just wing
beautiful
it, don't we? We just hang out.
we just wing it.
That's
Yeah.
what I feel like that's what gives my podcast a little less pressure. We're
Yeah.
just hanging out, having a conversation, talking about cool stuff. So Michael's into all
Yeah.
kinds of cool stuff. You had a similar start to your spiritual development, I guess, because of Dolores. Dolores was important to you as well.
Yeah.
She was for me. What
I've
you
got
got?
my blue rose shirt on because
Oh, do you?
Dolores' birthday
I
was
love that.
yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. I learned her method like maybe it was just over 10 years ago. And yeah, just dove all the way in and explored all the material that she had put out and really loved my time learning that method and exploring it. And right away I started to evolve how I was facilitating.
Yes.
And that process took me like step by step and client by client. The clients are channeling higher consciousness beings and beingness. So they were really informing me of some shifts and changes, some ways of facilitating, some ways of training. And so I'm actually getting ready to launch like my biggest work. Like I've done more work in these last 3 weeks than I've probably done in 3 years. I'm about to put out three facilitator trainings of quantum hypnosis. I've kind of been like shying back a little bit from the term hypnosis because of all the things that come up with hypnosis, and I wanted to really make something that says, "This is different than what Dolores was doing." There's similarities, there's different approaches, way different, scripts and things like that. So I have my reset method, which is a shorter method. It's really focusing a lot on, like, current life memory and ancestral stuff and the future self. And then the next training, the insight, is similar to regression work. It's similar to what Dolores did, but there's extra things put in there, lots of different scripts. We do it ceremonially. So we have that grounding meditation in the beginning, and we have a sealing and dedication practice that we can do at the end to amplify the energy of the session. And my most exciting thing that I'm getting ready to launch is the group recalibration training. So if any of you saw, got Dolores's video or saw the scripts, it was, she had those 3 scripts that came out, and I have taken this idea of facilitating for a group and combined it with, transpersonal work, how to work within the group so that we can really practice being a multidimensional and unified community.
Yeah.
Work with the different archetypes that might show up in a group. Some people might be more of a challenge for a facilitator. Some people are really eager to be there and really easy to work with. And how do we handle that as a facilitator? How do we kind of work with this microcosm of the collective when we're holding a group and see if we can create some new energy that people can use and come together in a fun way? So I think there's like 12 scripts, maybe there's more. I can't remember. But they're all unique, that would take you to really unique imaginative spaces where you can have interactions with animal totems and Jesus. That was a fun one because I did this whole thing with Jesus, and there's like a baptism, like going into the water and being cleansed. There's this whole journey there, and I forgot that it was the new year here in Thailand, which means that you get water dumped all over you as soon as you go out onto the road. So I did this whole thing with water and holy water, and then got soaked multiple times that day with buckets of water. So I took it as a good sign.
Yes.
And, yeah, so I'm super excited about those. They're gonna officially launch tomorrow, but I think we're gonna put some links up, or we have put them up. I'm putting a 33% discount on those trainings, and they won't be at that discount, because it's very high value. There's, like, 40 videos in each course, so it goes very deep.
Do
So
you wanna
it's
explain
there.
a little bit about what goes into the material?
Yeah, totally. So, for me, this work was always rooted in the ancient systems of trance work, of the yogic systems of inquiry and developing multidimensionality through a variety of practices. So that's woven into the training that each process might have that woven into it. So as someone goes through the journey and through the process, they'll be able to I'll need to plug my computer in here in a moment. Um, almost had everything. Got to plug the computer in. Yeah, so, like, throughout the whole process, they're really activating their inner instrument. This is, like, addressing the issue of, like, "I can't go deep enough," or "I felt like I was too present," and this is showing, like, how that works, how you can be present while information is coming up on the mental screen, and how you can trust it, and so people really learn how to trust their intuition throughout the whole process. Um there's a really rich cosmology in each of the trainings. They're all different. For example, the reset method is really focusing on the different archetypes, different parts that we are all dealing with all the time. Some of those are more comfortable to work with, and some of them not so much. But how can we work with our parts and love them and listen to them? So there's this, and as you go into the insight training, this is dealing with multidimensional cosmology. So we're learning about soul memory and how galactic history weaves in possibly through some people and what to do with that. And um, Yeah, I mean, there's so much I can go on, but give me one moment while I plug my computer in
Yes, so
so
go
I
ahead,
don't evaporate.
honey. I think most of us, I think that's one of the most interesting things we look for is understanding our past history. Because we all have amnesia, right? Every one of us are dealing with amnesia. So that's the one thing we want more than anything else, most of the time anyway, is to remember, to bring back that memory. Problem is, it's not all good memories. I was just talking
So
about how we
dealing
had a collective amnesia, right? So we all
Yeah,
want to
totally.
remember.
Remembrance is a big part of these trainings, and there's a few different, um keys that are woven in through how this works of activating remembrance within someone's field. Some of that, like you said, is they're difficult memories to look at, and so catharsis starts to happen. And how do we, as facilitators, start to notice the signs of when something's starting to emerge, and be very present with it, so that we can actually hold the space for a cry, a shake, um, a big emotional and energetic release. There are physical signs that start to happen, such as people becoming a little bit more internalized. Like if you're doing the interview process, people can start to, they start to chew on something a little bit. And what can happen is if we get too stuck with our script and with our structure, we can kind of blow right past that. So
Yeah.
how do we be trauma informed with that type of work, and to see as things start to emerge, how can we create the space for someone to feel themselves in a deeper way than maybe they gave themselves time to do before. And so
Yeah.
big stuff can come up through that. And
I have
some people are ready.
quite a
Go
lot
ahead.
of clients that come to me wanting to know about their past history. They say, "Well, why can't I remember something like
Mm,
from childhood, for example?" And we have found that sometimes it's just, it's a different timeline, so you move on and you forget there certain things. But also because sometimes those memories are too much. They're too heavy. So you actually create a protective layer to not remember some of those things. So it's hard to discern whether or not it's something that you need to kind of look into more because you want the context of something or to understand yourself better, or whether or not you're just scratching at an old wound and reopening it, so to speak.
absolutely. One of the things in connection to this, one of the desires is people to remember their other lifetimes or maybe earlier childhood memories. Somebody asked here how they'd be able to fetch those memories. And yes, this type of trance work is absolutely, I mean, it's a big part of that work is to help you access those memories. It helps when your nervous system is relaxed,
Yeah.
when you have an inward focus, when you're relaxed in the body, then the access can come up with greater detail. Another side of that, a shadow side of wanting to learn about your legacy, what you've come from, is becoming too attached to the galactic identity.
Yes.
And then that can make things I know in myself, there started to be a gap between the rest of humanity and myself. There it became another egoic identity. Maybe it's a little bit brighter, a little bit
Oh,
more
those
informed.
humans.
Exactly, exactly. And so how to dealing with practitioner shadow. Where's our own bias? Where's our own projection? Where's our own where we take the role on as an identity versus a role that we're holding in that space. So we don't want to create power dynamics with our clients. They're just
Yes,
as powerful as we are.
absolutely.
And yeah, and help people really integrate that type of information in their body. So I put a lot of focus on that. Yes, we can look into the future and look at probabilities. Yes, we can look into the ancient past and get very powerful stories. How do we apply it to our life right now? Right now, in this body, integrate it and not get too caught in the mind. How do we really bring it into the body and
'Cause you're in the
live the
now,
wisdom of
right?
this?
You didn't want to be
Yeah,
another version of you, otherwise you could have done it again. You could have done it again if you wanted to, but you didn't.
yeah.
You came here to be you right now.
I'm just
So
gonna put this little thing up
many
there.
of us, we get lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. And you know what? Getting lost in the sauce is kind of,
It can
it
be
can be
fun.
fun sometimes. It's
It's
good to kinda get
escapism, up to a
let
little bit.
me put this in there. Yeah. Is this everything? What else do we have going on over here? I'm just gonna put this up. Great. That's there. Yeah, so it's a really exciting time. I mean, humanity is I think we're about to have many more. I just saw somebody that said the other day they just woke up 2 weeks ago. That was so exciting for me to hear that. You know, they're just getting started. They're finding the groups. They're finding the
Buckle up,
information for the
darling.
first time. Yeah, that'll get real weird. Um, and I think really fun, you know, for those of us that are aware, fun in the sense of like the excitement of being here, the
Yes.
potential of what is occurring and what we get to create together. How can we create a new timeline? Even all the prophecies that are out there, we can create something so much better than that.
I
And
think
we
all
are.
prophecies are self-fulfilling, really. You
Yeah.
express an intention to create and manifest something, and what do? You manifest it.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you got to be careful with what you say and the things that you focus on, because then you'll just focus on the past. You're just going to leave yourself in the past. You won't manifest the future you actually want. That is something a lot of people are working on healing because we're focused on the past too much. You got to stay out of the past. The guides say that all the time. But how do you stay out of the past when you have an insatiable thirst for understanding who you are? Where's that balance, you know? Is it
Yeah.
one of those
Well,
things that we're drawn to? It's naughty. It's like we're not really benefiting from it, so to speak, to a degree. I think we are. Personally, I think knowing who we are, all the galactics, they don't have the memory wipe that we do. And I think that when you do pull some of that memory, some of that experience from other versions of you, it's almost like it helps you to level up. But the problem is that sometimes you can also tap into very disempowering versions of you where, like, let's say you were abused or that you went through very serious persecution or something like that. So how do you
absolutely.
take
And
the good
even
but
more
not the
important,
bad with the good, you know?
yeah, I think it's even more important than I think a lot of well, I don't know if it's a lot. I did that Dolores's training, and there really isn't any training around dealing with catharsis,
No.
being aware of not re-traumatizing somebody in a situation, like being able to like tune in and check in because some of these things, when you go into them, they can be so big. She did have a good, you know, she did put out an impulse to like really take care of the client, move them to you know, a time where after a certain event had finished, but I think a lot of practitioners can get really alarmed and not know what to do. They're not equipped when a really big storyline comes in or the client really is going into something deep, especially if somebody is like if the facilitator is prone to being a rescuer in a situation and isn't comfortable seeing people in a state of suffering or in a state of release.
Yeah.
And so that's something as well. We need to be sure that we're also even though we're facilitators, we need to have our own facilitators that we go to so that we can work on our shadow and so that we can really be able to hold that space in a neutral way and be comfortable with with big stories and big emotional releases. Um, a facilitator could have had something similar happen to them in their life, such as if there was a sexual abuse or something like that. And
Yeah.
if the facilitator isn't aware of where they are in their own process of recovering from that and turning it into wisdom and embodied wisdom, then it's you know it's possible that enmeshment can happen, projection, and those kinds of things. And so I learned that from Terry Real. He's a couples counselor, and he really teaches his students to be very aware of projection and bias because we bring it in, we bring it with us. We bring it into the therapeutic container, and we need to be vigilant and aware so that we can provide really good care for people. Mm,
I think that's one of the most important aspects of this is aftercare.
aftercare. Yeah,
Yeah, because you can see a lot of things that will stay with you for life. And
yeah,
some of this is really beautiful. Some of it is like, oh my gosh, it's like epiphany. Oh my, this is why I feel this way about certain things, you know. But other times, um, it creates almost like a victim mindset too, a little bit.
yes, yeah,
Like, look what
absolutely.
happened to me rather than for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, and then you a person puts that on, and they wear that around as an identity and a story that they keep alive within them within themselves. There was a really great text. I spent many years studying psychology and being trained by a psychologist that taught other psychologists, and she taught me about the sorry, I've been talking. I did, like, 6 hours of recording today. My
I think
voice
it's
is
something
all
in the
over.
collective because my voice has cracked like 4 times today. I was making a joke
Well,
with my friend earlier. I think I'm going through puberty again because I swear to God, my voice is acting up today. Maybe it's something with the voice boxes or
no,
the
I
throat
do feel
chakras
that the
today.
throat chakra is starting
It's
to be
something with
cleaned
the
and
throat
cleared out.
chakras today.
Yeah,
Okay, it's not
because I
just
don't
me.
feel like I'm in the heart anymore. Like I feel like that big thing that I just had a few weeks ago burned through everything that I had left in the heart. And
Release,
now I'm
release.
I'm here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And but okay, so Karpman's drama triangle. It's like an archetype structure for our shadow. The persecutor, the victim, and the rescuer. Rescuer sounds nice, but it's still can become from the shadow.
Mhm.
The empowerment dynamic, it's a book that just recently came out in the last decade or so, and it's like the inversion of that. So a victim becomes a creator. Okay, yes, this happened to me. Yes, it hurt. How can I use this to become a creator? How can I use this to create the life that I want? Where the victim tends to keep the story alive. And then the persecutor, instead of being over critical and forcing things down, we become a challenger. We challenge
Yeah.
a situation. We bring something into awareness, and then the rescuer becomes a coach. So instead of rescuing somebody, you ask them the right questions so that they can find the power within themselves and become a creator. I really love this system. If you're working with people, or I read it when I was needing to deal with my own shadow and learn how to work with it. It's a really great book, The Empowerment Dynamic.
The empowerment
Um,
dynamic. Love the title.
let's see what else we got going on. It's so good to be with you
I
all.
help with aftercare, Jessica says. I specialize in integrated attachment styles. I can help you to reprogram step by step and get into wholeness through IAT and Reiki. See, we need more people getting into the aftercare aspect. With me, with spirit release, I tell people this all the time. Like, we need more layers of healing for after the fact because I look at us kind of like the astral paramedics, so to speak, or even
Yeah,
astral SWAT. We come in, we get rid of all the riffraff, we get all rid of all the shit that shouldn't be on you. Now what? Because you're still going
absolutely.
to have the healing aspects that required, you know what I mean? Because that's what attracted the entities in the first place. They exploit trauma, they exploit fear. So if you're not healing the trauma and the fear, you're just going to call back more entities. So this is an extremely important part. This is why I'm always telling people the aftercare is the most important part of the entire report that you'll read. Everything we
Mm,
removed, it's gone. It's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter. People are often comparing, well, I had this or I had that triggered or I don't understand why this is there. A lot of it is gone now anyway, so it doesn't matter. What matters is what you are still working on so you don't attract more. And I think that hypnosis is really powerful in that aspect because it helps to uncover the shadow work still required.
yeah, absolutely. I see somebody here is asking about how they can learn how to properly heal others. I really recommend taking the Reset Method Facilitator training. It's the foundational training. If you've also studied Dolores's method, or there's other methods out there that are kind of within the same family, this is going to have a completely different skill set, and I think you'll really, really love it. The sessions are very adaptable to the person that you're working with, and I'll teach you how to use universal language that doesn't trigger people's defense systems, such as if you're working with somebody that's coming from a religion, you may want to adapt your language so that they feel safe to participate in something like that. Um, Also, for those that are just like starting their journey, that are wanting to make sense of what's happening with the shift that's going on within them and what they see around. I just released the Living Light level one. So each of these are coming from systems that all have different trainings that come under each system. The Living Light system, especially level one, is about understanding the process of awakening and really grounded, practical tools and information that you can use to to engage in your process, including, I just did it, was so fun, the living light activation. So I'm using quantum states and using like distance. It's kind of like a Reiki attunement from distance, but I've added in this exploration in a quantum space where guides and beings can come up and assist me with this transmission. It's very powerful. My hair was like standing up all over my body.
Mhm.
And you'll learn how to pull down that living light into your own system and how to use it to heal yourself, getting familiar with your own energy. So if you're not yet ready to work with other people because you know that you still have some stuff to go through yourself, this is a wonderful program. And it's also part of that 33% off for the next like week. I have that that up and running. I think we put the links up and stuff, but I'm making my whole goal was to create as wide of a net with as much resources as I could to catch all of humanity, no matter what stage they're in, whether they're just like rubbing the sleep out of their eyes or if they're all the way like wanting to, ready to lead in a bigger way. I've created something, including this thing that just came. I work every 3 months or so with the Universal Council of Light. I've been doing this for 10 years. You can call them the High Council or whatever you want to call them, but they've been guiding me for 10 years, stage by stage by stage of like putting all these things together, telling me what I needed to study. So that I've been doing this really in collaboration with them. And they just told me to start putting out this new approach that's specifically for light leaders that may have got off track a little bit, feeling a bit disempowered. They might have the knowledge, the information, maybe they're out of their practice, or maybe something in their like their work that they're doing still feels like they're not able to get to the next level. So I've created this 3 session, they're deep dive quantum journeys that are not like a one-off journey that people take. It's organized in a very different way to help people clear their past in the one session. The second session is really focusing on your mission. Where are the blocks in the mission? What do you want to create? Where do you think the challenges are in your own capacity to feel like you can do it? And then the third one, we're really working with the future self and really getting this grounded integration process of like potential timelines that you can create. So you can actually feel that future self right now in the body and walk through and do your leadership from the space of the future self, versus a person that's in process and disempowered and not quite there yet. You can really call that in and anchor it in. So that's the light leader recalibration. That's also on my website. I've been busy.
I was gonna say you've been up to so much. My goodness. You had
Well, I'm
and in
trying.
being in a beautiful place too, I'd expect you to spending all your time on the beach, but no.
I did. I'm going to. I like pushed it so I can use these last 4 days to get as tan as I possibly can and see all the beautiful people that I love so very much. And they've held me in such a beautiful space. I came here completely broken, like smashed, unable to do anything, like barely functioning, going through a big life change. And these people have held me so beautifully and I didn't advertise my work here. I've really taken this year off, year and a quarter. And I got to make friendships that were just based on friendship and not my work. And no one really knows what I do here. So I'm really grateful for them. And what made it easier to leave is my mission is number one in my life. Like what I've come here to do and making sure that I'm following that. It was a little sad to realize that my time was coming to a close here, but ultimately it felt like, of course, I'm going to follow the mission. Like wherever I'm supposed to be, I'll go there. I'll show up. I'll show up 10 minutes early if I need to. Um,
When the universe
y-
forces us to restructure our life, it is probably one of the most jarring things you can experience when you have to start over your whole plan from scratch. Because I had that in South Africa. I saw myself
yeah,
living there for the rest of my life. I was creating a life for myself there, and then the rug got ripped out from underneath me in quite a shocking way. And to
yeah,
have that realization that I had been putting roots into unfirm ground, so to speak.
totally.
And then all of a sudden the tidal wave just comes and washes everything out, and you got no footing, and you are forced to restart your life. Um, you go through a period, as you were talking about nervous system regulation and how important it is. It takes a long time for your nervous system to settle down, for you to even find your grounding, so to speak. And after that, and then you have a period of rebuilding from scratch, brick by brick.
Hmm.
And then you build it, and then you're looking at it and you're like, am I proud of what I built? Yes, I'm very proud of it. Am I going to live in this house for the rest of my life? No. It was a temporary structure that gave me a home, that gave me a place, that gave me a purpose, that gave me a place to heal myself, but it's
Yeah,
not where I'm meant to be permanently. And when you have that realization without the the earthquakes, so to speak, it almost makes you wonder, am I doing the right
am I
thing?
doing the
Am I
right thing?
this, like because the
Yeah,
last time you had to reinvent yourself, you were doing it, but it wasn't really up to you. You pulled a card this morning, right? The card that always affected me the most was seeing the Tower card.
Mm-hmm.
Tower card. I see the Tower card. I want to throw my deck across the room. I'm like, no! Right? And there's a couple times where I've gotten the Tower in reverse. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And you look at it and it says, well, it's basically like the Tower is coming down by no fault of your own. Like it was just the universe is just ripping the Tower down. But in the other part, it's where you are the one tearing down the Tower. And I might even have it
Mm-hmm.
reversed. I might even have it backwards
Mm-hmm.
there. But anyway,
I understand what you're
one is
saying.
where
Yeah.
you are the one doing the destruction, and the other is like just a tidal wave coming in and knocking you off your feet. But you're going through a period of not even of basically reinventing yourself, of saying, I really like what I've built and I'm really proud of it, but it's not the permanent structure. It's not where I want to spend the rest of my life. And I realize now it's like the universe is redirecting us. And that's happened to me 6 times. I've had to reinvent my entire
Mm-hmm.
life. Where
Yeah.
the only thing that's the same is my name. That's the only thing I kept the same.
Is that your birth name? The last name? Starr?
It is. Lara Starr
Wow.
is my real name, yeah. And I've been married twice. They tried to get me to change it twice. I'm like, no. In fact, one of them even took my name because he's like, well, if you're not changing yours, I'll take it.
Wow.
But no, it's the funny thing is I've always felt like shifts where sometimes I'm the one that's saying, all right, now is the time to reinvent myself. Now is the time to basically get rid of everything I have and start over. And other times the universe is the one making that decision. And when the universe is the one making that decision, it almost feels like, well, okay, I have no choice. It's like, you're being swept down the river. But the other time is you have to throw yourself into the river. It's
Totally.
different. It's a whole different vibe and a whole lot more trust in yourself required. Because before you didn't have a choice and now you have the choice. So you're wondering, am I making the right one? And now, and it's funny, Carolyn says, I love the Tower. Yeah, I've completely changed my opinion. When I see the Tower now, I'm like, ooh, fresh beginning, new start. What are we going to destroy and rebuild today?
I just to give you a little backstory of what happened to me. So I went to Sri Lanka to do my application for my longer visa to stay here in Thailand. You have to leave the country to do that. And I worked very hard to get this application ready. It would have given me 5 years to be here and enter and exit the country whenever I want. Still would have had to work online. I couldn't work on the land here. And long story short, the visa was rejected. I've already done a bunch of border runs to stay here, and they're cracking down on being able to do that here. So I didn't think that I'd be able to get back into Thailand, which would have been the second time within a year that I would have lost everything, my home, all my belongings, all my friends. And there was this moment of like surrender to that. Like, man, I've already done this. I can do it again.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Okay. I can start over again. I would prefer not to. Like, I made this little promise, like, God, please just let me go back and have a sweet hug with all my friends. I'll pack my stuff up and I'll go, but I want to have a nice exit. And I'm getting to have that. I did when I got back, I did there was a way that I found out how to get back, and there was a few days where I was trying to set myself up here, and more signs came to me and really like a vision of coming back to the US and what my time would be like there. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll go. And I'm coming back to the US with it's a new life. My life has changed. I'm coming back. I'll be with my family for a bit and then in Pennsylvania and West Virginia.
No way. Where in Pennsylvania?
Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, tiny town, 2,000 people in southwestern Pennsylvania, like close to Ohio and West Virginia.
We'll have to make a plan. I'm in
I might come
Harrisburg.
up and visit you. You're where?
I'm in Harrisburg.
I didn't know you were in Harrisburg. I thought you were in New York State.
No, I'm
Okay.
originally from New York, but no, I live in Harrisburg now. I'm
Okay.
in Amish country.
You sure are. Wow. I used to go there like once a year. My brother was a wrestler and there was a big wrestling tournament that happened there every year. And I
Very
would go.
peaceful and quiet area.
Very peaceful and quiet. Yeah. Well, very cool. I didn't know you were there. You're just a few hours away. That's cool.
We'll have to make a plan, hang out.
I love that. I really love that.
But yeah, I think that coming back to this, because the biggest shock I ever had in my entire life was coming back to the States. The long story
Mm,
why as a whistleblower, I felt like I was gonna literally disappear if I didn't leave when I did. So leaving under that, I created an extra layer of trauma, and I actually got deported twice for similar reasons what you are going through, having to
mm,
reset your visa all the time. I got deported
yeah.
twice because of doing that to two
Wow.
different countries. Yeah, Scotland deported me and South Africa deported me.
They don't know what they were missing.
I got deported on my birthday, no less, too. But it's the funny
Wow.
thing, these things happen because it's the universe is making you pivot. It's making
Yeah.
you, abrupt face. You got to change and go down a different path. Your energy is
Yeah.
required in a new location, basically.
It started to come to me. It's interesting because I didn't yet know that there was gonna that all the visa stuff was gonna happen, but I was here on this tiny island and I just felt like I needed to go into a certain restaurant to get some food to take to a gathering that I was going to. I'd never been to that place before, and I walk in and this um Arab man from Dubai is wearing a West Virginia University t-shirt. Like, what are the chances of this guy? I'm like, you have to tell me the story. Where did you get this shirt? Why do you have this on? Because it's like a very typical university t-shirt. He's like, I just really liked it. I'm thinking that's it. It's an ugly shirt, but of course he's wearing it. Like, and he'd never been to West Virginia. He didn't know anything about the university. He just liked the shirt. I was like, okay, that's weird. It started because like things start to come up in the field for me. Like I'll see things. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And then, I mean, literally, there's a few things that happened, but I was in Sri Lanka having my collapse moment, and I was just like, if you play Country Roads Take Me Home, there was a cover band, I'll take it. And they played it. So I was like, okay. And the song right before that one was I'm leaving on a jet plane. It was like the
Oh,
song right. I was like, okay, it's like they're coming in thick.
they
I'm getting big
do that a
goosebumps
lot,
as I'm
don't they?
talking. Yeah.
All the signs are
Yeah, but
there. They're just trying to make you feel better about you making the right decision.
totally.
They're giving
And
you the little nudge.
I
Going, see, you're doing it. You're doing it. Good job.
I'm excited to come back. I've been in a place where I've only met like maybe like less than 10 Americans since like United States citizens here. And for the time that I've been here. And there's when told some people that I'm from the US or that I'm going back there, like sometimes people have like a noticeably like resistant like look. When I say that I'm American and all that kind of stuff. And
Well, nowadays.
I feel like I'm like I come from redneck hillbilly, like country roots. I feel like I got to live that very classic American lifestyle, living out in the country, and I
You're missing
feel
the
like
twang, though. You don't have that twang.
it comes out if I've ever had alcohol, it can come out a little bit, or if I'm like being flirty, then the y'all will come out, or like it gets like
Okay, there it is. Yeah, I see it.
yeah, I can become I had, like, a few, like, Southern boyfriends, so it'll come out, like, in those situations. But I mean, this is my own opinion of myself, but I feel like I embody, like, the sweetness of the American spirit, and
You totally do,
I'm
Michael.
excited to come back and be that there on that land. I feel like it's, um, a part of me that I miss, and I'm looking forward to accessing it again, and also I really enjoy being American, and there's, like, a lot of like, I'm here on an island that's, like, strongly, Israeli, there's a lot of Israeli, um, so there's a negative stigma for both, and I see, like, people being put into certain boxes because of where they come from, or because they like their culture,
I used to
or
tell people I
and
was
so they're
Canadian.
yeah, but I love it now
I'm
when people say,
sorry.
"Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm American."
I
I'm
didn't want
like
them to judge me.
yeah,
So
I get
I
it.
noticed I would be judged immediately. They're like, "Oh, you're American," and I'm like, "I'm not like the rest of them." Like,
Yeah.
no, please don't judge me. But I didn't get the
Yeah, I
stigma when
get
they
it.
were like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Near Canada," because I'm up from near the Canadian border area. But it's just funny, nowadays I own it because I'm like, yeah, I know it's bad. Like, why do you think I'm not there now? Like,
Yeah.
that used to be my excuse. Oh, yeah, I got away. I escaped, like the rest of them are still stuck there. But this is the thing, you know, this whole escapism, you know, many of us are being, we thought that it wasn't going to change. We thought that it wasn't going to get better. So many of us just ran. We were like, all right, get me out of here. But now we're coming back to fix it. The universe is
Yeah,
calling us back. And I think it's there because I
absolutely.
think we're meant to be a part of the solution.
Absolutely. I mean, we have the US and places like Australia and the UK, they're a mixing ground of all of the bloodlines that have been here on the planet. You see all the cultures are there. And because of that mixing, how there's like the what do they call them? Like the quote unquote sub races within the main root race within the epoch. Like you have these like different places on the planet where a different type of society was evolving and being um raised, you know, through different stages and moving from very tribal, then starting to move into those tribes starting to connect. Now we're moving into this place where we're able to know about stories all across the globe. And we have all of those bloodlines going to certain areas and mixing together, creating new children by the mixing of those bloodlines and all of that genetic memory and information that's coming with them into these new children. And the US is one of those places. I mean, so many of the older, you know, the psychics speak of the US and that, well, that continent really being one of the epicenters of the new consciousness that's emerging and the new
I
types of
believe that.
humanity being
Yes,
expressed.
I think so. And
So
it makes you wonder if there's like when you go through points where everything kind of breaks apart, it makes you build it back better.
yeah,
You know, like I was talking with Adriana, my friend from Poland, and she was explaining like, oh, it's so liberal. Not, I wouldn't say liberal, but it's so like advanced now. It's such a beautifully run country. But if you look at what it was 60 years ago, it was a polar opposite to what it is now. It's almost like it has to get really bad for people to be like, oh no, I'm not going through that again. And
mhm,
it makes everybody come together to fix it. It's like hitting rock bottom, and then everybody realizes how bad it got, and we're like, okay, we can't let it get that bad again. And everybody
yeah,
comes together to fix it. And they make it
yeah,
better than ever when they do that.
absolutely. And I think we're in one of those big junction points where there's a lot of stuff coming up and there's a lot to be looked at and a lot to be felt and having those of us that are aware of New Earth ideology and ascension and things like that, we hold a really important thing. We don't have to talk about it necessarily, but the groundedness, the safety, the positivity that we feel in ourselves because we're holding New Earth in our sight, that is so important to have while these different changes and while the different challenges are coming up. People will start to say, why is that person so comfortable? Why are they so, I feel so safe around them. They seem to like not, this isn't weighing on them. I wonder why that is. And so I think it's common for people that are very sensitive energetically to want to hide or like pull back or isolate. And there are some good times to do that. And also getting um that centeredness so that you can be out in the field and feel all that you're feeling and still bring out that different note. 'Cause some people would never interact with it. And I have to get past my own judgment sometimes of people because I can be like, because my nervous system is responding to what I'm feeling coming from them. And as I drop into deeper compassion and meet that person where they are, then what was once like maybe a scary energy or like something that felt uncomfortable, I can find my way to build that bridge of unity with that person. And all of a sudden I have a friend. And I think right now we have such charge around polarizing ideas and villainizing human beings. And I feel like if there's ever to be peace possible, we have to also embody a level of diplomacy, even with people that we have seen to be like our enemies or someone that's been somebody that may have done something terrible or awful, like still see the humanity in that person. Doesn't mean that they like justice wouldn't happen or things like that, but like we can't dehumanize them if we want peace to be possible. And I
Absolutely.
think that's going to be a really big note right now, like, because there's that it's this side or that side. Well, I'm going to rise up just a little higher where it's like all of us, even though it looks like we're still a family of humanity here on the planet. And as more of us are coming out into the public like that and demonstrating that, it's going to shift things. Maybe slowly at first, but I think it'll pick up in a good way.
Love and patience can fix everything. But you need to have patience for the people who are not ready to accept that love yet, because not everybody wants it. Some people are
Yeah,
so angry, so in
yeah,
so much pain, they just want to see the world burn right now. They just want to see, you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Because they've lost everything. There's a
Yeah,
lot of people out there who are, I mean, we're talking about this as 10 warehouses have been burned down. I don't want
yeah.
to get too political about it, but if people are
Others
hurting,
like
they
something like
want
this.
others
Yeah,
to understand why they're hurting and to acknowledge it. And if they don't feel acknowledged, what do? They create things to
act
make
out.
sure, yeah,
Yeah.
they act out. Exactly.
And that's one of the things why I was excited to create the group recalibration training for facilitating groups, because I felt this need that there needs to be there will be a bigger and bigger need for people to come together in a way that is unifying and where they can feel like they're contributing to something greater. Even though, big things might be happening around the world, what can we do in our small town or in our internet community or something like that? And so I created that training and the scripts that are in it with this idea that we can work on those challenges together
Yeah.
as a group. We can use quantum states to project our consciousness to places that need healing, that need work. Similar, I think you do similar things with the type of work that you do as well. Like
Yeah.
we can project our consciousness to those places and be of service there. Um, and so, or maybe something big happens in the community and people need to
Hold
process.
space.
So holding those spaces, holding those circles, and knowing how to safely hold them so that the alchemization can happen, and also knowing how to frame it, because not everyone's like talking about 5D and Christ consciousness and things like that. So how do we adapt our language while still holding all of that knowledge and wisdom inside of us, but make those opportunities for people that are unfamiliar with it to feel it for the first time
I call
and
it
to
dialing
come
back
together.
the woo so they can handle it a little
Yeah,
easier.
a little easier.
How much
Yeah.
poo can they
And
handle? Not much? Okay, we'll just be very, vague about some of
yeah,
this stuff. Because some people aren't ready. And as Dolores would always say, you can't give a baby a 5-course meal, right? You have to give them what they can handle. And otherwise, they're going to choke on it. So you really have to be kind of gauging, using discernment. And when you see somebody's eyes start to glaze over, you know you've lost them. I've seen that on a few occasions where it's
yeah,
so, like I'm a big fan of planting seeds and
yeah.
living by example, showing people by living by example. You don't have to do things my way, but just watch and see if you might like learn something.
I'm gonna
Kenzie
put
says
this
my
little
family is very religious. They think I've lost my mind. My family's not religious, and they still think I've lost my mind, Kenzie. You do what for a living? Jessica says seeds need to start growing in darkness. Yes, you must protect your seeds.
Hmm.
Yep.
And warm them. Get them warm when you put them in the soil. And how do we warm them? With loving attention, good positive visions of the future, seeing those seeds turn into a beautiful garden. And that I think is a good analogy for what we're seeing right now. We see a lot of muck. We see a lot of stuff coming up. It's, the compost of our consciousness. Can we walk through that as it happens, but see the garden that will come from that and hold that? And that will, as we hold that structure, then things will start to organize more easily towards that. But if we get into fear states, then the images or the feelings come up of worst case scenarios. That's being contributed into the group field, planetary field.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to ignore reality and hold the future vision. Um, Yeah, so that the field can start to we create it, not the other forces that are out there that are causing all kinds of things, that want to do certain things. They're not the ones that get to decide what the field is going to do, as hard
They're a
as they might
small
try.
minority. Yeah, they're a
Yeah.
very small group of people who really try and control the show, and we outnumber them. So we have the power of manifestation way stronger than they do. And even when it comes to NPCs, I've heard the soul guides say, the one awakened starseed has more manifesting power than a million NPCs. They want us to think that we're disempowered. What can I do about it? Is always the question, right? I'm just one person. What can I do? Well, you can organize, you can educate yourself and other people, raise the vibration, pay it forward every day. Even just smiling at people as you're going about your
Mhm.
day helps to raise the vibration, helps people feel safer, helps people feel more connected. Going out talking to your neighbors, getting to know the people who are around you, that 100 years ago we would have known all our neighbors,
Yeah,
and now you can live in an apartment complex with 200 people that live within 200 feet of you and you don't know any of their names.
absolutely.
It's that disconnection that's the problem. We have
I'm
to get
and I would say
reconnected.
also, like, people are also timid and shy and insecure, so I find myself being the one that just gets the first "hi" out of the way. "Hi there," and then the magic can happen, but if
You're
everyone's,
such
like, holding
sweet,
that, like,
soft, welcoming energy, Michael. It's not easy for
"Oh,
the rest of us all the time,
I
to
worked
feel
on it
so
real hard."
welcoming and inviting energetically.
Yeah, well, okay, so what I do before I say hello to somebody, I work with a visual most of yeah, with a pillar of light that I call down through me, and I breathe into my heart, and I make that connection as I breathe in, and that's what I say hi with. Even if I'm nervous, even if I'm uncomfortable, and the first few times I came to this island, like I said, broken, feral, feeling all kinds of wild. I didn't even, like, come to be around too many people for the first little bit because I was just like, there's so many intuitive and psychic people here, I can't even they're gonna read me, like, from across the beach. So, to go from that to being like, "Do I fit in here? Will they like me? Like, can I be happy here?" To, like, now I'm getting ready to say goodbye, and I have a limit, because the place I'm gonna have it, like, I can have up to 33 people there at my little event to say goodbye, and I'm like, "Wow." And now I have to, like, say no to some people or not invite them. Like, how much can change when we take the initiative and, like, take the leap and, like, be vulnerable and be raw and, make that first high, and before you know it, you can have a lot of new connections, and maybe they don't think the same thing. I mean, a lot of my sweet friends are not talking about the things that I am so immersed in. But we found commonality. We didn't talk about politics. They probably see something very different than I do anyway. So it didn't seem like it would be a helpful topic to even go into. Um, so I look for the through line. Like, where can I make a connection there? And it's paid off. Yeah, it's really paid off.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now you get to reinvent and make new friends.
Yeah, new ones. I'm so excited. Somebody said I can come to San Diego. I've never been. I'm getting all
Lovely.
kinds of invitations. Look at me. I'm gonna have so many friends. I'm all over the place. I do plan to travel quite a bit around the US. Well, I mean, we'll see what I did learn when in that Sri Lankan trip, because I would come up with a solution or my next step. And as soon as I would get that next step, I was already imagining a few steps ahead, and then something would happen that would wipe that off the table. And so what I learned in that trip, a big lesson, was to be aware of how much I can go into fantasy of what I think the future is going to be and start to build some sense of safety off of what I'm imagining. But I don't know if that future is going to come. I only have each step as I take it and, like, stabilizing in that step. So yeah, I'm coming back to the US. We'll see, allegedly. And I'll spend some time in Pennsylvania, and I want to travel. I want to go around to some places in the US and might go down to North Carolina. Maybe I'll come up to Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to after being contained, I'm ready to bebop around again and
I think
make
it's funny that we
opportunities for
start in
people to meet.
Pennsylvania. My mom was here. That's why when I left South Africa, I didn't have any potential roots anywhere else. And I had been out of the
Yeah.
States for 15 years. So I had nothing really to go back to. So what do? You
Yeah.
start with your parents' house. You start where you
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
Like,
wanna check in on my inner child, see how he's doing.
exactly. But it's funny
Yeah.
how quickly you're motivated to get out of your parents' house. I couldn't wait to get back out of there again. I was there for 2
Yeah.
days and I was like, "All right, I'm moving. Where am I going?"
Where am I going?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've gotta jump into all the bureaucracy stuff I have because I lost before I left for that trip, 2 days before I left, my wallet disappeared. I lost it
Oh,
somehow, so I don't
no.
even
That makes
have my
it
debit
super hard.
cards, my credit card,
I
my
know.
driver's license. Like, there's a lot of things that I have to go back and,
I had no
go
proof
to
that
all the
I was
government
American.
offices.
I hadn't been back hardly at all for 15 years, and I had to prove to be able to bring my son back as well. I had to hire a private investigator to prove that I was American. My birth certificate, my driver's license, and my passport were not enough. They wanted, like, high school
Wow.
transcripts, they wanted high school
Wow.
vaccination records, they wanted all kinds
Yeah.
of, like, pay stubs and I didn't have anything like that. I've been gone for 15 years.
Mm.
So I had no proof that I existed in America, and that was a nightmare. That was horrible. It took me about 6 weeks to get enough evidence to be able to come back to the
To
States.
prove that you're I just saw this person who is it? Did I miss it? They said something about the fear of rejection. That's the issue that they have with, I think, with meeting new people, I imagine is what they meant. One of the dreams that I had before I came here, like the dream that told me to come to Thailand, it was just a flash,
Mhm.
like 2 seconds. And part of that dream, besides my feet being on the sand here, was feeling of brotherhood around me. And I realized in that when I woke up from that and I was crying and there was a lot of emotion there, that I have had such painful relationships with men my whole life. Friends, brothers, lovers, boyfriends, um,
Mhm.
all of that. I've just had very
How many of
painful
us are like,
relationships.
"Been there, Michael. Feel you."
Yeah. And so part of my thing to come here, my goal was to correct my relationship with men, correct it in myself. My own insecurities, fears, maybe judgments, things like that. And that has happened for me. It's been quite a focus. It's easier here on this island because there's a lot of men that are embodied. They're aware of nonviolent communication patterns. They're doing their work. They're very soft, very sweet. So it was, it's a safer place to practice. But I realized as I was, like, trying to go up and meet new people and trying to flirt for the first time. I'm, like, single for the first time in 12 years. I don't know how to flirt or date. Like, I had to watch YouTube videos on how to do that because I'm a little bit, like, also because 'cause I'm so intellectual that I'm, like, a little bit, like, awkward because
You
I
can't
just
tell
don't
when
know.
somebody's flirting with you. You're like, "He's so
Oh,
nice," and he's like, "He's flirting with you," and you're like, "No."
yeah, I mean, maybe people do. I don't recognize it. I don't see it yet,
That's
but
adorable.
I so I had to, like, learn how to do all those things, and what I realized was yes, part of it is within the male wounding, the collective masculine, there's issues there, and it's harder for me to engage in that. But what I realized, maybe even more meaningfully, was that I keep myself out of brotherhood. I
Yeah.
keep myself out of the circle because I don't feel that I'm man enough. I'm a gay male. That used to be a big thing that, made me feel like I wasn't man enough. I don't participate in a lot of the activities and like cultural things that a lot of people do. So I don't know the things that they're talking about that they see on TV. There's all these things that made me feel insecure. And I was like, wait a minute, like I'm like a wonderful ingredient to put into a men's group. I hold both vibrations of masculine, feminine, like
Yes.
in a balanced and dynamic and fluid way. Like that's needed in men's groups. And I saw that also with other gay men that felt like they didn't belong because they're gay men. And I was like, wow, you're actually so needed in those spaces because it can get so testosterone driven and so like primal and rough. Like they need a softness in those groups. And so I actually started to feel myself as um, valuable when it came to connection with men and that I had something special to bring. And so that's just pointing to the thing where someone said they're afraid of being rejected. Is it also possible maybe you reject yourself? Because I know I did it, and I thought I was afraid other people were rejecting me, but in the moment, I was rejecting myself. And, self-acceptance and self-trust and all that stuff was very helpful for me to correct that.
much of what we think other people think about, we're not. Like, oh my God, they're judging me. And then the next thing you know, they're not even looking at you. Like
Oh my
that's
god.
all of you.
They're in their own process. They're like in
They're
their
all
own
going through their own shit,
insecurities. Yeah.
thinking about your shit. But we
Yeah, they're
fixate
like
on that, you know. A lot of
yeah,
us have that. Introverts have it even more, I think, and that's part of the reason why we're more introverted at times. We're a bit like, you know, they're gonna judge me. And I've actually learned that's linked to my witch wound, where
mm,
if you stood out before, you were in danger. Standing out meant that you were a target in some ways. And so many of us have had to shrink ourselves down, put us into a little box that fits neatly on a shelf, so to speak, so that we're not calling attention to ourselves. That is going to end up, because sometimes it's positive and sometimes it gets us killed.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're relearning who it's safe to be, not just who we want to be, but who we feel safe to be. And the shadow
And
work
we
in that regard is really important because much of who we are is hidden behind these walls of protection.
absolutely. And also this like what made it easier with some men was like studying like the core wounds that a lot of men carry that create this what people are calling toxic masculinity. I really don't like that term. I really don't like it. It's dehumanizing. This person has trauma, they have maladaptive patterns, they're lost, they don't know who they are. They build up a whole ego structure around that because no one ever gave them the information and they don't know how to unpack it. So if I see another brother as a toxic masculine, that puts me above them in my own view, and then below me. I've got to meet them brother to brother. Brother, what's going on there? Like, do you like seeing my friends that wow, my hair's standing up. They like this one. Like
Mhm.
my friends or like men that I interacted with that are like gym rats, let's call them, big dudes. There's a lot of gym going guys here, and they're big, muscly men. And a lot of times when I have that more intimate conversation with them, they don't feel like they're strong enough. They feel weak. They feel not enough. And so they go to the gym. Inside is this
That's
big
insecurity coming
heart
forward is
that's
something else.
so yeah, that's so wounded, that so has the old system of like what it means to be a man that they don't even feel enough. And so a lot of de-armoring can happen if we can come in there and see that little boy that's inside of that man. Now, of course, it doesn't mean to justify horrible, abhorrent behavior at all. Call that out with respect. Like, brother, I hear you, but we got to talk about this. And I think I've been using that more and more, brother and sister. That's my thing. Like, when I say it, it's that transmission of like we are family. Um, and like putting that note out because men have been so at war with one another for so long, and I see it also um in the hunting and the hunting of men, hunting for sex, hunting for a partner, moving person to person to person because we're not even hunting anymore. Like men don't have like those roles. Not that every man should do those things, but when you give a man some men, but when you give a man a role of service, I need this to happen. There's a lot of men that can really switch how they're behaving and how they're interacting in a group if they feel like they have a purpose there, if they're seen. And with all of the behaviors that we have going on, and a lot of them, they shouldn't be justified. And I think we all have a role to play in bringing the men back home to themselves, and like creating that hoop of humanity, and not throwing people out of the hoop. We've got to bring everyone in, but we've got some work to do with that, obviously.
Yeah,
That's my
we do.
TED talk on men
I
brotherhood.
I have
Yeah.
seen a few different men's groups. I
Mhm.
believe there's one called Second Sons or whatever it was. I can't
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
name of
Yeah.
that. You know of the group, right? Where it's like a
Yeah.
men's group where they come together and they do manly things, but then at the end of the day, they talk about their feelings. They talk
And they're
about their
crying in
pain.
each other's arms. They're
They're
holding each
exactly, and they're crying
other.
into each other, holding each
Yeah, I
other.
love that stuff.
And like, I had a friend of mine that I was talking to about it. He goes, "Oh, I seen that gay shit," and I was like, "That's like, why is it gay to talk about emotions? Like, why would you have that programming to think that
Yeah.
is, like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's the programming that they get from society,
They're
I
so
think,
out of
from
touch
media
with their own softness, with their own
to
feminine within
cry.
that
There's
with
nothing
yeah.
homosexual about crying. So why would they even say something like that? Like, it's an American mentality.
Because
I'm
they
sorry to
reject.
say, and many of us like that have that
Yeah.
programming here.
Yeah, they've learned to reject their own softness.
What
And
is
that
that?
y
Do you have any idea? Like, where
yeah,
did this
yeah,
come
yeah, yeah,
from?
like what? Oh, I come from
Not letting him cry?
small t
Like, "I'll give you something to cry about?" Like, is that what where that started? Like, I'm just
that's why
wondering.
I never really liked because, like, when I was growing up, when somebody called me a queer, that was like saying the N word to a gay
Yeah.
person. It was, like, hard, and now it's, like, being used so much and everyone uses it, and it's kind of it's connected to a whole ideology that I maybe don't subscribe to a lot of it, and,
Well, they brought it back too with the whole queer eye for the straight guy. They're like, "Well, I guess we're gonna
yeah.
own that." Like,
And I think it really comes down to this idea of not being man enough. And to be man enough, you have to be rough, you have to cut down anything that looks unmanly. Um, but what that is, like when I was being made fun of growing up and like young boys would call me a queer or a faggot or whatever they would say to me or do to me, I was being taught by my grandmother like to see beyond that and see that like probably their parents are behaving like that and saying those things to
yeah,
them
yeah.
and so they're just repeating it because they don't know what
They're
else to
sponges.
do.
Children are sponges, yeah.
Yeah, so within somebody that says, like, "I've seen that gay shit," it's like, "Okay, brother, what's that all
It
about?"
triggers me when I hear that. It honestly makes me mad
Yeah,
because men need to get in touch with their emotions. They're bottling all that stuff up, and it's a huge disservice to yourself and everyone around you when you don't work on your emotions. When you bottle it up because it creates a pressure cooker after a while. If you see a man that has a very, very short fuse, a man that gets pissed off, stubs his toe and ruins his whole day kind of vibe, that is a man that has been bottling up everything to the point where emotions are so rampant in his system, they're just spewing out at intervals that he can't control. If you can't control your emotional reaction, you have buried and suppressed too much emotion to the point where it's coming out the cracks even. It's overflowing from the cup. And people do not work on that. They don't recognize their triggers are too much emotion trapped in the body. So how do you release it? Well, you have to talk about it. And what do they not want to do? They don't want to talk about it.
yeah. Well, mm,
I shouldn't just say men because
that's
we are
why it's
talking
really
about men right now, but it's for both. Both of us do this. Women suppress themselves
yeah,
too.
I'm gonna put these links out because Trisha just they're coming in hot, Trisha. Okay, is it Trisha? I think so. Sorry for everyone if it's, like, bringing a whole bunch
It's
of
a
links
little
all the
bit
time.
cut off, but there it is.
Okay.
Embodiedlightinstitute.org.
Yeah,
And he's
the
giving
short of
one.
it is embodiedlightinstitute.org. Yeah. I think, well, that's why it's important because some conversations need to be had. Some of it's men's work. Men need to be doing it together.
Yes.
And
We can
I
help you put
understand
together as a group.
a lot of my friends that are women are so tired of holding space for men that are not integrated and that are dysregulated in their nervous system and acting all kinds of crazy. So I really get that. And also I can see where an embodied feminine is also what a man might need to de-armor a bit.
Yeah.
He might be more open to that. And so I think having more spaces for men that are safe. I personally am not so into the very primal men's groups that are going on. I know that's a space that's like needed, and I think it's really good. It's not a space that feel super comfortable in. It's like not the activities that I really like.
Yeah.
I can do them. I can wrestle. I can fight. I can, I don't know, pick things up. Not my space. Like I'd much rather be in a circle where we're talking, maybe having hugs, maybe giving shoulder massages, something that includes more physical touch, the gay shit, as they say. um, but I have most of my friends here are straight men and I cuddle with them and we hug and we have deep conversations and so it is happening. It may not be happening so like obviously in the places where some of you are, but there are beautiful men really doing the work out there and many of them are building their projects, their light projects, their service that they're going to be offering. And so it's going to pick up and it is happening. A lot of the work that we're doing on the planet right now is more in private circles as we're like building the charge, getting it going, and then it'll start to bleed out as people are starting to look for solutions. But a lot of things are just happening in I just saw this beautiful because it's not really happening so much for gay men. There's not a lot of conscious gay events. A lot of them are very sex and drug focused, um, and like more Hellenistic pleasure focused. And I just started to see in the last year, definitely in the last few weeks, I saw a pickup of like some groups that are happening in Costa Rica, some retreats that are happening in Spain, where there's some really sweet connection focused spaces for gay men to come together. Um, it's beautiful. I mean, these things are just going to continue to come. The garden is just beginning to bloom. So,
It'd be nice if we had more of these organizations. I mean, one of my friends, this is funny that we're even having this conversation because a couple days ago I was having a chat with a friend of mine I've known a very long time. Um, and he's in the British equivalent of AA.
uh-huh.
And it wasn't until it was government mandated did he have to ever talk about his emotions or his problems.
Yeah.
You literally were forced. He was forced to sit there and talk about his
Yeah.
problems. And at first, the idea of it was so off-putting. He was like, "I'd rather go to jail." Like he was like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it feels like you're
"I'd
gonna
rather go
die.
to jail than talk about my feelings." But then
Yeah.
when he was forced to sit into it and even just to listen to other people talk about it, it created a safe space for him to feel okay.
Yeah.
If this
Normalize it.
really cool old guy can talk about his stuff, I feel better about
Yeah.
opening up. And the more he started to open up, I mean, it's changed him as a person. He's no longer like this
Yeah.
miserable, grumpy old man all the time. So I used to tell him, like, like his mentality has completely changed. And I think it's because he's finally
Totally.
let it out. He's finally
Yeah.
started to release stuff.
Absolutely. So, and with some of those people, it's so cool that that man was able, even if he had to be quite forced to get there, that he
He
showed up for
didn't
that,
want
you
to.
know? Because it's terrifying, because you're asking for those men to shatter the identity that they've used everything that they know how to create, to create it to be man enough, to be strong enough, to be all that society is has projected onto men and young boys. And so for a man that's older to go into a space like that, a lot of like the generation that's under me, and even probably before that, I'm getting older now. Um, like they're more, media's different, like television's different, things are different. They're seeing a little bit more emotional processing. Those other generations, 60,
Yeah.
70, 80 years old, that's like a big leap to take. And so it might be better with some of these men to have one-on-one conversations with and to like just take the time and bring it up. And I think it might be uncomfortable for them at first, but wow, just give them a little bit of space and so much can happen. I wove that into the group recalibration training. So there's a lot of layers of how to design a group meeting, but one of the things that I wove into that are like dyads and triads. So you have your experience, you have your journey, you journal about it, super cool for you, right? But then
Yeah.
to like link up with somebody else, which we can do breakaway rooms and Zoom meetings and stuff like that, where one person is the speaker and the other is the listener. And maybe they have 2 minutes to talk about what just happened for them, what came up for them. The other person that's a listener isn't responding, they're not commenting, they're not giving advice, and maybe not even like being super like nodding, because that can be like a rescuer tendency, but to
Yeah.
like really get used to being in presence and like just holding space for someone to share. And then you switch, the other person shares their thing and you listen. Or in a triad, maybe these two are having that, and the other person is just observing and holding presence for both of them. And as we do these little micro like experiences with each other, then we can go out into the world and be able to do that for other people on the bus, at the park, at the grocery store, just dropping in for a minute and saying, I hear you, brother. It seems like you're really going through something. Like those little things that we can say that let a person feel like they're seen
Mm.
and that they're okay where they are, as mess as they might feel like, I see you. That
Have you
looks
noticed
like
this
you're
with
moving.
homeless people? That's the one thing that they want most is to be seen and talked to like they're a normal person.
Mm, mm,
I've
yeah.
seen that quite a lot.
Yeah.
because I do a lot of work. I don't talk about it in here because I'm not looking for any credit for it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I do work a lot with people who are um, basically struggling the hardest. And those people, many of them are trying their best just to get by just through one more day. You know what I mean? That's the mentality of let me just get through this day and we'll see what next day brings. And many of us are kind of disconnected from the rest of what the collective is dealing with. And
Yeah.
there's always that social experiment where they say write down your problems on a little piece of paper and then throw it into a pile. And then everybody start looking at the problems and seeing it, and everybody starts looking for their own problems again because they don't want other people's. They go looking for their own. They think it's bad until they hear what other people are going through, and they realize, it could be worse.
Yeah.
So when we come together to really help each other heal and to recognize that what we're dealing with, a lot of it is deeply rooted in our own insecurities, our own fears, and it's not as bad as it could be. And it gives you a
Yeah.
whole shifted perspective as to where we're actually blessed. We think that we're really struggling until we see somebody who's struggling more. It's kind of like the
Mm.
person who's complaining about how they're exhausted all the time and that they work too much. And then they see somebody who can't get a job because they've got a disability and they're really struggling to make do. And it's like that shifted perspective gives people a whole lot more appreciation for what they have. I don't
Yeah.
think we express gratitude enough. I mean, I
I
spent
yeah, I
a
have a
lot of time in
story.
third world countries, and I saw,
Yeah.
one of the most heart shattering things I saw is how a vast majority of the rest of the world lives on a daily basis where we
Yeah.
wouldn't even want to survive an hour like that.
Yeah.
But we make
I
other
was just
people
in
live like that.
when I was in Sri Lanka, just recently, I got the news about maybe possibly not being able to come back and my wallet's missing. And I'm like, how do I get like money? There's like so much of that like survival root chakra stuff came up for me. And I'm like walking through the streets of a pretty busy and really chaotic and really dirty city. And I like look over and there's this man sitting on the street with no legs. And he puts his hands out to me and I see the light that's in his eyes, like when he reaches his hands up. And I'm like, wow, it's a master. Like it's not even just like a guy on the street in a situation, it's a master. He's sitting there radiating love. And he has no legs and clearly has nothing else. And I'm like worried about a problem that I could, if I needed to call somebody and ask for money to be wired to me, or if I need it, like I can do that. I have that in my life that where this person doesn't. And he's shining
Mm-hmm.
with all the
Okay.
limitations that he has. And we just looked at each other and laughed, 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 like we had a telepathic moment with each other. It was just he's like reminding me, liberation is possible even there with that situation you've got going on. There are bigger challenges you could have.
I
Um,
saw a beautiful statue this morning that as you're walking up to the statue, I don't remember where the statue was. I think somewhere in Italy. As you're walking up, it looks like a homeless person. And they're
mm,
hunched over, and you know what I mean? It's very clearly
yep.
meant to depict a homeless person. And as you walk around the other side and you get a better look at it, it's actually an angel.
Uh,
From
yeah,
the other, it was you had a perspective as you're walking up from the main,
yeah,
it looks exactly like a homeless person, but as you walk around it and look back at it, it's an angel. And people don't really, there was a
mhm,
story many years ago. I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a homeless person sitting in front of a church, and everybody were trying to shoo him away, like, go on, you're not supposed to be here. Go on, get out of here. And then it turns out it was the new pastor that was dressed up. So they
yeah,
were still trying to see how people would receive him at the church, not knowing it was the new pastor. And they were like, go on, get. And they
absolutely,
tried to chase him out. And it turns out, no, he was just dressed like a homeless person to see how people would treat them.
totally.
And that
I know that
mentality,
story. It's so
you
sly. I
know,
loved it.
I really love it when people have an understanding that we are all one, that
Yeah,
we are all source, that
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or a homeless person, we are all equals. And to look at us as any different means you're not really understanding, what humanity even is. We're a collective.
yeah.
So when one person suffers, technically we're all kind of suffering in that regard. And that is something that a lot of people are still coming to terms with. They don't understand that yet. When we lift
My
one
mother
person, we lift each other collectively.
my mother had this saying that like a mother's only as happy as her unhappiest child or something like this. Like there's this like mothering relationship that like yeah sure one of the children or a portion of humanity can be doing really well, but then it's like but what about the other ones? What can we
Yeah.
do for those that are clearly suffering, because they wouldn't be behaving like this if they were well? And how do we get that help to them, and how do we at least invite them forward into change? And I think a lot of that has to do with our own getting aware of our own prejudice and bias and our own judgments that we have about people, and and making those bridges, making those connections as best as we can. And maybe you can't start with somebody that's a convicted felon of some horrible crime, but maybe you can start with the person that lives next door to you that you shy away from or that you avoid, or um, you didn't move into a repair process from a rupture that happened however long ago. So practice there. That's our area to practice. Yeah.
Work our way
Good.
up
Are
to
we
bigger
coming
and
to a
more
close?
things.
Are we coming to a close? I felt like a
Mm, no,
oh, I thought no, no, no. Okay, sorry. I saw
no
something
glitches
pop up.
today. Facebook just shut down yesterday in the middle of our conversation. It just cut out yesterday. So I
Hmm,
was a bit nervous it would do it again today, but no, everything seems to be going well today.
good. Well,
So,
what do you have coming up? What's coming up in your what are you creating? What's coming up in the
oh, I'm
what
all
you're
over
doing over there?
it. I'm,
You travel
I'm,
quite a bit.
I'm
Where do you
juggling.
have a
I have a
travel
lot of
coming up?
balls in the air right now.
Yeah.
Trying to catch them all. Yeah, I've been doing psychic empowerment is one of my main
Mm.
focuses right now. I've got a psychic empowerment course on Saturday for kids, teaching
Oh,
children,
fun.
yeah, teaching children how to be psychically empowered. Teaching little
Wow.
empaths how to protect their energy and all of that. I'm so
Cool.
excited about it. It's really
So
great. My friend
fun.
Ella has been working really hard on this too, on the presentation. It looks beautiful. So, yeah.
Amazing.
And
Oh, how
my main
rewarding.
focus right now is just empowering people. I talk a lot about beasties and things like that, but I think that the beasties become irrelevant. They're not even we don't even have to discuss them. If you're standing in your power, if you're in a high vibration, if you've done your shadow work, you're untouchable anyway. There's nothing you don't even have to think about the beasties. They can't touch that. So that's the important thing, right? Is that we're all becoming our most empowered and highest selves, so to speak.
Yeah. I love that you're working with these youth. I think that's such a great mm,
Thank you.
it's so rewarding. I mean, one, to give to them, but then what they give back to you through their innocence and through their
And protect
playfulness and
babies, right?
spontaneity, and
The
how
children,
that
they're our
can
future, right? And if we don't protect them, we're not protecting our future.
yeah,
So that's my main focus
absolutely.
right now is helping the children. I really
So cool.
Yeah, it's something that I think we're all gonna start learning from an earlier age. So
Mhm.
inspiring that, teaching how children how to kind of hold their energy, how to know when things are feeling off. Because I was
Consent.
gaslighted as a child. My parents didn't
Yeah.
want to believe anything that I said about things
Yeah.
that I saw. So teaching parents how to listen
Yeah.
to children better is a big part of that as well, which is going to be part of that.
That's super cool. I really
Thank
love that,
you.
and I hope
Thank
to
you
see
for
so
asking.
many of those things. Yeah, I felt like there was something special being cooked over there.
I really feel like the shift is speeding up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Like things happening, like I've been calling it the quickening because it
Yeah.
seems to be rapidly unfolding as we go. So I'm kind
Yeah.
of it's like parasailing with spirits got the wheel and we're just like wee up we
Yeah,
go.
I felt like because I feel like I'm about to, like, do, like, a big push, like, I feel like I'm gonna start doing a lot of things very quickly and be invited to teach and share, and I was like, "Just did I rest enough? Like, have I taken off? Like, have I really let myself, like, totally turn off?" Just so I can feel that in my system, because it does feel like people are ready. There's more people waking up. There's, the dis disapproval and disinterest in like what's happening in the mainstream story. People are like, where do we go? So I feel like those of us that have been, aware of the new earth trajectory and all of that, I
Yeah.
feel like now people are ready to hear about it a bit more. I'm starting more simply. I'm focusing a lot on nervous system regulation for those folks and very simple ways of developing an authentic spiritual life for themselves because everyone's coming from different angles. But I also feel like with this new approach that the council gave me of um, there's some people out there that have really big visions. They know something really like they're to create something and have a lot of energy behind this movement. And so I'm focusing on them as well, like because I know that once they are feeling much more integrated and aligned and empowered within themselves, they're going to cause major waves. And I'm excited to see all the beauty that we're going to create. I mean, it's so exciting after 10 years or I think 12 years I've been aware of ascension like in this way. I had the religious stuff in the background growing up, but to now see all of these events happening, like I'll probably read because I used to have a book out. The book is in a transition moment right now, and I'll probably put it back out. But so much of that book was talking about what was going to happen, and now those things are happening. So I have to take some of those things out or update the information because we're in those evocative moments now. Um,
What a time to be alive.
yeah, absolutely. To see the garden bloom. We've been working so hard for so long. Yeah,
I
to
asked
finally
my
see
guys,
all the little
are we going to
seedlings
see the
come up.
shift? They're like, yeah, why do you think you chose to be born when you did? You're not just going to see the shift. You get to enjoy some of the fruits of your labor, so to speak. And I'm like, thank God. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like Burning Man. Everyone's invited to participate. Bring your art. Let's create together. We'll
I,
burn some things down and build some other things. Yeah.
I'm so ready for it. Let's go. I can't think of anything worse than things staying the same. I don't even care if it gets worse before it gets better. It's fine. I just can't deal with it staying the
Yeah.
same any longer. Daisy just said,
Yeah.
thank you, Michael. Where can we get your
Oh.
meditation for the nervous system?
Mm. So that's going to be in the Living Light 1 training. They're also within that. So the meditations are quantum focused. So you'll go into memory, you'll go into practicing your new patterns that you wanted to put into action. If you've had a hard time with meditation, like it hasn't quite clicked for you, this is a really great there's some great practices in there because they're dynamic. It's not focused on stopping thought. It's using thought in a creative way to create peace, focus, and a regulated nervous system. So there's big teachings there. Living Light 1. If you go to the shop, it's there. And if you use Quantum Love, that'll give you 33% off for this week. So yeah, I think you'll
Wonderful.
really yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
I
look
really
forward to
appreciate
hanging
these
out with you. I'm so
conversations.
excited you're
I
coming back to the
I
States.
know. I know. Is it what's the temperature like there right now? I haven't even looked.
80
Nervous.
something degrees. It was very toasty this morning.
Okay, great.
You're gonna
Okay,
love
it's
it. You're
not
gonna feel hardly a change when you
yeah, okay, great. Yeah, except for I imagine I'm so excited to hear the forest. I'm excited to hear all the little animals and the little birds and see little bunny rabbits hopping around and baby deer. I'm so excited for to like be back in nature. And my parents have like a 90-acre piece of land, and so it's like really quiet. And the place that
That's
I've
the
been
best
is
part
there's a
about
lot of construction.
Pennsylvania. It's the nice, wide open quiet. Yes.
Yeah,
My parents
see
have
a
a horse farm, so we
cardinal.
have that as well, and, it's nice
Yeah.
to be able to go and relax and enjoy that, but at the same time, like, you have to really appreciate how blessed you are to have that peace right now.
Absolutely. There was a time where I really wanted my parents to like, get rid of that property and move and da 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 da. I'm so glad that they kept it so I can have a spot that I can come back to and reset and feel the wonders of nature that they have there. And yeah, I'm excited to come back.
Well, let me know
Yeah.
when you do.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you.
Maybe our next chat will
Absolutely.
be while you're here. That'll be great.
That'd be fun. I would
Well,
love
thank
that.
you so much for today. This is always a fun conversation hanging out with you, Michael. So thank you very much for
Yeah,
making time
same.
for us today, especially being so late in the evening. There
Yeah,
is
it's
a link
my
one more
absolute
time
pleasure.
for everybody. It's the Embodied Light Institute. Michael also has social media on Facebook and YouTube. In fact, we're streaming from that right now. So if you're interested, make sure that you follow his social media as well. He's got a lot of great stuff he posts.
And I'm
And
about to explode. You're gonna see me on every single platform you've ever seen. You're gonna be like, "Oh, is there anybody else on social media?" Because I just keep seeing Michael's face pop up.
oh,
Yeah,
it's
now that
good.
I got these
Keeping yourself
courses
busy.
done.
We're shifting the
Mm,
collective, right? With every post.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Love
absolutely.
you all. I
Well,
hope you
bless
all have a
you.
magical day. Thank you for joining
Yeah.
us. See you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Mm.